Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. You know, this was a very weird episode. There were scenes that was just kind of shoved in or wasted. And we're going to start off with Trina and Sunny. Because in all reality, the reason why this scene was wasted and why it was unnecessary wasn't because she could have just sat there and said that she visited Sunny and it happened off cam. But because of the missed opportunity that wound up happening um, with this scene, because she goes there to, I guess, pick up some stuff from Sunny's place, and to give it to Ava and tell Sunny that listen, she's staying at so and so. Sunny just didn't want to hear it. He was just about business. And the reason why I sit there and say it's a waste of scene because you know Ava's like a mentor to her, right? And although she doesn't understand exactly why she got kicked out or anything like that, you would think that if this was anybody else, they would have been like, hey, why'd you sit there and kick out Ava for? Like, what wound up happening, Um, and would have just sat there and have dialogue and tried to sit there and talk it out, at least on some level, either understand fully or defend their friend. But it's like she just came in, she said very little, they talked, and then he just walked over and opened the door to I don't want to sit there and say kick her out. We were just like, okay, all right, we're done. And that was about it, you know? Because they're great actors. And I just felt like that scene deserved more than the very little dialogue that we wound up getting from it. Because in all reality, again, if that was going to wind up happening, y'all could have just not even bothered to show it. And then we get to the point of Ava and Trina. And Trina, Ava Smith, they're talking about how Sunny's going to take custody and she's not going to allow it. She's going to fight back and this, that, and the third. And I think Trina says something about, you know, you're really going to sit there and like battle him or whatever, or custody or go after him or something like that. And I felt like once again, the scene could have had a little more depth. She could have sat there and tried to explain to her why this is a bad idea, and why you need to sit there and make peace at this point. Um, for your own sake, for Avery's sake, to try to calm her down, to try to have some sort of reasoning. But it's like they didn't even bother to sit there and give her that much dialogue. It's kind of like she was just there and she was like, "Oh, okay, hmm." And although Trina's not a busybody, she can clearly, you know what I'm saying? She can sit there and look at this and be like, Ava, you're doing too much. You need to stop. You need to slow down. You need to sit there and think. And that would have been a lot more rewarding than her saying a couple of things, being a little kind of shocked, and then just being like, oh, okay. All right, I guess I'll just sit there and leave. Because when she got to Jocelyn and Gio, and Gio was like, is my uncle in any danger? Trina was like, well, I wouldn't put it past her. Knowing that she could be unhinged enough to actually do something, you know? So it's like, if you know that she's in that type of volatile state, wouldn't it make more sense for her to sit there and try to talk her down rather than just, and, I get it. She was mad, she was angry, and she probably didn't want to sit there and make it worse. But give her a voice to actually sit there and say her concerns. Even if you feel like on some level, you know what, it's not really your place, or this, that, and the third, let her say that stuff. Let her actually have her concerns. So I felt like scenes like those could have been better than what they were. Now, Christina is still on this whole, they had one fight, so it means they're totally gonna break up. And I got to sit there and protect the baby and make sure that the baby isn't brought up in a bad environment or something like that. And once again, Alexis is like, you're doing all this over one fight. And so she has this petition or whatever drawn up, and she's like, "Can you take a look at it, Christina? How many times did your mom done told you that she does not want to sit there and be in the middle of this, and you keep sitting there trying to put her in the middle? You could have asked Diane. You could have asked any lawyer. Hell, you could have even sat there and asked Scotty at this point. But instead, you decide to sit there and bring it to the one person who said that they didn't want to be involved because they said from jump they knew this was a bad idea that you decided to put yourself in. Um, so that goes on. Oh, and by the way, Ava's also snipped there saying that, I got kicked out because, me telling on Alexis on something that she rightfully so did. Now, again, just going back to the whole Trina thing, she could have sat there and be like, yeah, okay, I get what she did was wrong, but you didn't need to sit there and say anything. You didn't need to sit there and insert yourself. And instead, they chose her to just say very little as possible because for some odd reason, that just seemed like that made sense to them. Anyway, at some point, Sunny comes there, and Sunny's like, yeah, listen, I kicked Ava out. I'm sorry she did what she did to you. I'm very furious at her and yada, 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 which I'm just like, I get that she did this to the mother of your child. But the mother of your child, in Ava's eyes, felt like she really disrespected Julian. And just on a better, bigger note, at the end of the day, Sonny's doing the same BS with Alexis that he wound up doing with Carly. Carly and Alexis both committed their own crimes. And instead of just being like, listen, what they did was wrong, but you still sat there and did what you did, I was, I kicked her out for you and yada, 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 yada. I'm just like, but you still did the crime now. I guess we're just gonna go right over the head on that one. Just act like that didn't happen. So, that's so cool. Um, Now, Sasha and Cody. Another scene that just seemed like it was just kind of shoehorned in there, because in the Quartermain's house in the mansion, you got Brooklyn and Tracy talking about violent situation. You got Cody and Sasha also talking about the violent situation, which they know even less than Brooklyn and Tracy. So it seemed like it was one of those things like, oh man, they're also sneaky talking about it. This seems kind of excessive, and they don't really know as much. So why are we caring about this from their perspective again? Because I'm just very curious about that. And of course, it gets right back to the whole, he should sit there and tell the truth. Then Matt comes over and practically makes him feel guilty. He thanks Cody for stepping up while he was gone. He apologizes for calling him a drifter and a conner and a con man. It then says, I'm gonna, be around to sit there and see James' next writing lesson. Then after that's over, Sasha's just like, gosh darn it, why did you sit there and tell him about, you being his son? His answer is, timing wasn't right. This is where we're getting to people. The timing wasn't right. The timing was all wrong. See, I'm making a big exaggeration out of this because in all reality, if I don't add a bit of levity to it, then I'm just going to be super annoyed. So I feel like I need to turn this into more of a humorous situation because at this point, the timing is wrong. We're just full of excuses this whole time, aren't we? We just full of excuses. The timing is wrong, and if the timing is wrong, I'm gonna sit there and lose everything, bro. A couple of things you need to sit there and remember. One, jail time. Two, Sasha just little FYI. People aren't just going to be mad at Cody. They're also going to be mad at you as well. And you just better hope that the blowback won't be big enough where you can actually sit there and lose your job being a cook because for some odd reason that's the life decision that you chose to make. Um, and jail time, which I'm pretty sure there's a good possibility that she can also face some charges as well. So, since you might not want to sit there and be so critical on why hasn't he told the truth, especially about the whole crime part, since, you're kind of a partner in his crime. Just saying. Um, Brooklyn and Tracy scene, I didn't really care much for it. Um, Only thing that Tracy was saying was that there's a good possibility that Violet may be staying longer than y'all originally planning, and that's something that you're gonna have to think about and have the possibility of. And then they turned it into a whole Full House moment, and I was just like, yeah, I don't really care. Like we get it. Tracy has a heart. That's what makes her character so amazing. But I didn't really need to sit there and see all of that. Um, Now Finn comes across Chase, and in the beginning he's very quiet, he's very stoic. They get to talking, and Finn is like, I'm mad at everyone, but I'm also mad at myself. He realizes all the damage that he's doing to his daughter, and he feels super guilty about. And Chase is like, listen, I'm there for you, but you need to take the first step. So Finn calls the rehab center, and checks his, calls to check himself in. But he has one condition. He wants to sit there and say goodbye to Violet. Um, Even though there's a court order, but Chase is going to allow it. Then comes over, Tracy hugs him, and he goes to have a very difficult conversation. Now, if people didn't watch my short, which you should probably watch my short, but just a little FYI, Michael Easton, I think that's how you pronounce his name, is leaving the show. Now, before anyone gets all super mad, because I've seen all the stuff on Instagram, people being emotional about it, because when you write with your emotions, it always goes right. People are blaming the writers. The writers really messed up. This is a terrible idea by the writers. We don't know if it was a writer's decision or if it was his decision. So I think before people start typing in how angry that they are at the writers, just keep in mind it may not be the writer's fault. It may be the actor's decision to leave, just like Nathan. It's happened years ago. People were pissed off. I can't believe Nathan. I can't believe the writers actually wrote him off. I'm so angry at you people. You people are horrible. And it turned out that the actor chose to leave. I think that anybody that still was that angry about it should definitely still hold that out. But what else wound up happening? Oh, also there was another Geo shoehorn scene. But one of the things that Geo was talking about, because Jocelyn just asked out of nowhere, which really didn't make a lot of sense. She was like, "So how much are they ever paying you?" Did the trust fund baby just sit there and ask somebody else how much money they're getting for a gig? Okay, let's just move past that. And Geo was like $100. She was like, "Oh wow, an hour, $100. Wow, she's generous." No, 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 $100 for the whole thing. Are you serious? She was like, "Yo, that's some total cheapskate stuff right there." Now, yes, she is a trust fund baby, but goddamn, Ava, really? $100 for the whole thing? I think you would probably make more. I think you would actually probably make more money sit there working at the Metro Court that day. You don't want to give up time to sit there and do that? Yeah, I agree with Jocelyn. That's some cheap shit right there. Um, and then she also talks about Sunny, and although she disagrees with him, she doesn't want Sunny hurt or anything like that. Now they're all sitting there in the room in this awkward look of Ava probably possibly doing something to him. Now, Ava does talk to Scotty. Scotty takes the case. Scotty's like, this is going to be an uphill battle. You know, Sunny is powerful. He got connections. He's done some stuff. You've done some stuff. He has more power and influence than you do. And I'm going up against Diane, which is already an uphill battle. And I wonder what lawyer. You know what? Let me ask people in the chat. What lawyer do you actually think, out of all the soap operas, is better than Diane? And I mean all the soap operas, okay? I mean, if you want to talk about passions, you want to talk about guiding light as the world turns, um, any lawyer that you could sit there and think is as powerful, as good as Diane. I think E.J. DeMera from Days of Our Lives is actually as good as Diane. I want to know. I want to know. Anyway, I feel like that's about it. I can't think of anything else, but as I always sit there and say, come to the live stream tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll talk about all the soaps, General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, Bold and Beautiful, and Young and the Restless. And with that being said, I'm going to go. I'll see you in the next video.